eyeglasses are like table glasses. They're designed to do different things. The tall ones are designed for milkshake and beers. The small ones are designed for the still products. And the ones with the long stems are designed for consuming red and white wine. So are spectacle glasses designed to do a variety of different things. And as we were letting the band in, I realized, oh, I have my bifocals on. Oh, do I want to spend the next 40 minutes developing more and more sweat? Maybe that wasn't the way to go. So I hope you'll enjoy this afternoon's concert. The wait wasn't too long. My name is Michael Wood, and it's lovely to see a packed house. Thanks so much. Thank you. What a great way to start the afternoon, eh? There we go. This afternoon's concert is what we call in the trade a mixed program, with no specific theme, but rather a purpose. But its purpose, rather, is to share with the audience the who, when, where, and why the composition came into existence. Our opening number was Tito Puente's 1962 Cha-Cha-Cha, Oya Como Va, made famous throughout the world in the 1970s with the recorded version of Carlos Santana. Each term I like to present to the students an opportunity to experience an odd meter piece of music. That would be something that's written in 5/4, 3/4, 7/8, that sort of thing. This term is no different. Knowing your audience, be it a concert like today, a corporate date, or a wedding reception, throwing in a 3/4 waltz number is always a treat. In our case, here today, it is a nice reprieve from the more aggressive selections to be presented. The next tune features the individual sections of the band, bouncing back and forth between the front line saxes to the trumpets, and then the trombones, all being held together by the rhythm section and a cameo trumpet solo. We will now play Three for the Road by veteran composer Lennie Niehaus. so much. The expression less is more comes to mind when a young undergrad music student hears the term modal music. Prior to the 1950s, jazz tended to be centered around the improvisation based on what we call the rhythm theme. If you will, I've got rhythm, I've got music, I've got my gal, who could ask for anything more? Our rhythm tune. A lot of music was written with that format in mind. It would be composers like George Russell, McCoy Tyner, John Coltrane, and Miles Davis, who among others would drive this new art form. Fast forward to the new millennium, composers of large jazz ensemble repertoire still embrace this most freeing stylistic approach. Trombone and tenor sax will be featured as soloists, each stretching the limits of their individual musical awareness. The composer is Gordon Goodwin, and his gift to you today, I told you so. off script here a little bit. One of my favorite places to visit is an island by the name of Cuba. Well, Cuba, the corazón es en Cuba. My heart is in Cuba, and the music thereof. This next piece of music, as you will see when I read the actual in a moment, highlights a couple of different things. But for those of you who have been to that island, you might be connecting a bit more strongly. So here we go. The translation of our next offering, Canastita Bonita, refers to a person, place, thing, or perhaps a thought that has just been mentioned. I chose this tune because it embodies many of the musical styles of the Caribbean and South America. If you are familiar with the music of Cuba's rumba clave or the Brazilian samba, this title will be obvious. Canastita Bonita. One, two, three, da, da, da. so much. It's lovely to have such a big audience. We normally have about 80% of this room filled, but we're actually over our limit probably, so don't tell me that. Some of you might remember the name Quincy Jones. Of those who know this name, you might think of him, one as a producer with working with pop icon Michael Jackson. For others, it might be as sideman in a Dizzy Gillespie band. For me, it is his compositional skills for the Count Basie Orchestra. Today we will pay homage to Quincy with a selection from his Quintessence album, written for one of his favorite singers, Lena Horn, and her husband, composer, arranger, Lennie Hayton. And now for your dancing and dining pleasure. Unfortunately, we don't have a dance floor at the back. We normally do, but so we'll say for your dining pleasure, perhaps, for Lena and Lennie. Hi again. I just realized when you're in academics, it's like you never stop teaching. And the biggest fear is when you're working with your friends is that you'll tell them how to play the book because you're all adults and that's not something you should do as a leader. But I can do it here, and I've mentioned the businessman's bounce before, and some of you will know what I'm talking about. It's a basic square movement that you can get around playing, that anybody can dance at your favorite niece's wedding, right? So think about your favorite niece's wedding perhaps right now as you're listening to this tune, because I was thinking, Michael, are you ever going to stop teaching? Perhaps not. Oh, 1, 2, 3. all good things seem to wrap up really quickly, don't they? Just before we play our final number and send you on your way, I'd like to first of all welcome you down to the reception. If you go to the door here, go to the end of the hall, there to your right a little bit, you'll find a reception set up in the atrium. We'd love to have you come by and say hello, talk to the students. If you are a student here on campus and are interested in knowing about any of the courses on campus, or at Grebel rather, we'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. And for those who are interested in playing with this ensemble in particular, it's always good to talk to the people in the band. Just walk up to somebody who has an instrument and say, what's it like to work with that cowboy? And perhaps they'll give you a positive response. We have 3 choirs here at Grebel. We have the small ensemble group, which we call ICE, that's the acronym. And they have a concert coming up this afternoon a little later on in this hall as well. So if you're in town and staying around for a while, you might want to come back at, I believe it's 7 o'clock?
7:30.
I stand corrected. 7:30, if you'd like to come back and hear a variety of different instrumentals on the classical side, but small ensemble as opposed to an orchestra. We are represented here today by Professor Gray from the faculty, and she was, when I came on board, or pardon me, she came on board, I was lucky enough to already be here, and we became good friends right away, and it's nice to see you out, Laura, thank you. The other person I want to mention in terms of thank yous, there's a couple actually. Angelica Allen. Wave, Angelica, there you go. I cannot do this, the work here. Angelica allows me to concentrate on what you heard this afternoon and trying to encourage the students to become more aware of so many different things in music, not just playing your instrument, but understanding the form of the music, where it came from, the structure of the music, whether that be the number of bars in the total piece of music, or whether the student has a better understanding of harmonic structure, which is really important when they're trying to justify their solos. And I could not concentrate on that if I didn't have Angelica. Thank you very much, once again. One last person I'd like to thank. We have an alumni in the hall who I'm very good friends with now. He was in, I believe, my second band here. And he was a go-getter when he was here. He was always the first to come and the last to leave, the first to volunteer. Music was not his major, but he's a man that would finish his undergrad here and then go off and decide, okay, I've done that. My parents wanted me to have a job. And he decided to go to Humber College and study the jazz course there for a year and came back very knowledgeable and has been studying ever since. Ernie Cowell, where are you hiding? There we go, Ernie Cowell. So my point of fame is that his claim to fame is, besides being a really good friend, is that Ernie has given year after year. I think he took a 2-year sabbatical from coming out, developing his career after he left Waterloo. And then he just showed up one night and said, can I sit in with the band? I said, yeah, I'd love to have you. So he would come back a couple of times a term, and that turned into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decades, literally, of now of him coming out during a term. He'll just show up, or he'll give me a quick note and say, should I bring my Bari, my alto, or my tenor? So that he knows which instrument I maybe would appreciate. And this is a man who also, he makes his living at zeros and ones in the digital age. And, but he's also a very talented fisherman and has 2 ensembles, has a quartet, and he also has another quartet that's a jazz quartet rather, and he's got a saxophone quartet. So you can see how valuable he is to this program. So thank you, Lena. Yes, our last number. Deciding factor. With this number, I had a difficult time finding the YouTube link. So I decided to search out the composer, Jack Cooper. Given this tune was written in 1999, he was alive and well teaching at the University of Memphis. Graciously, he shared with me the original recording MP3. Jack also mentioned that the tune was written for the great Buddy Rich band. Buddy's arrangements always had a lot of attitude, much like the drummers. I can tell you a couple of stories about Bari, but we'll leave that to your imagination. And now the deciding factor. One, two.